welcome back to K-Chat with me, your host, Kayla Morales. We chat all things from love to life, business, spirituality, health and wellness, and everything in between. This is a space of growth and meaningful connection, and I'm so excited to talk to you today, to chat with you today. Yes. So how's everyone doing? It's been a little while, so sorry about the delay for this episode. Let me tell you, it was a challenge to schedule, but we made it. And I'm so thankful. I've been dying to get actors together in some way. And this just happened to be the first way I actually have gotten it done. And I'm hype about it. So we have a few of my friends that are working actors in the industry. Kemma Filby, Jerimiyah Dunbar, Mycah Bacchus, and Kiana Tori. And basically we all just had a conversation about our experiences, misconceptions we hear about the industry from like friends and stuff. And and we also, a few weeks ago, you guys, a lot of the audience members asked a few questions. So we got to answer those as well. And it's just like a cute and funny episode. I really enjoyed it. I love connecting with people who are doing the similar work that I am doing, and our journeys are kind of aligned in that way, but also different. So it's just fun hearing, their stories and stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys are watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying our facial expressions and all of the juicy visual goodness that comes with that. But also feel free to subscribe for the journey and like the video, share with a friend, comment too if you want. And if you are not someone that's super into videos and you're listening to the audio version of this instead, be sure to rate and review and subscribe as well. I don't think I've gotten any reviews yet. I would be so stoked if I did. So drop a review. I would love that. And share with your friends, guys, no matter on what platform. I mean, that really helps me and my podcast grow. Share your thoughts and ideas. This is still like a new thing for me. So I'm learning as I go, and I'm always open to suggestions. So yeah. And also, if you guys have anyone in mind that you think would be a great fit for the show, a great guest for the show, let me know. Drop a message in my inbox. I would love to hear about them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys are all doing amazing. It's like a rainy, cloudy day here in Southern California. So I'm in my comfy cozies. I'm like teaching a little bit today, but I'm chilling. And as I was watching this episode while I was editing, it was so cute. I just loved it. It was funny. So check it out, guys. Let me know your thoughts. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye. So welcome back, guys. Today's episode is looking a little different than usual. I have my first panel of guests on the podcast. So I've invited some of my friends who are actors. And we'll be discussing the industry's misconceptions, our experiences, and reply to some audience questions. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you guys to introduce yourselves. And Kemma, take it away.
Hi, I'm Kemma Filby. I've been acting for about 10 years, in LA for 6. And I have an actor-based TikTok at Kemma Filby on TikTok if you want to follow me there. I'm also the founder of a production company at C6 Studios if you want to find out about the projects there.
Hi, my name is Mycah Bacchus. I've been acting for about 6 years now. And my Instagram is at Mycah Christine. I'm working with J Girls right now, and I am one of their part-time actors. And I also have a company called May Williams Active.
Hi, my name's Kiana Tori, and I am a plus-size model and actor. I've been doing this for around 5 years now, and my Instagram is at Kiana Tori.
And last but not least,
What's going down? My name is Jerimiyah Dunbar. I've been acting for around like 6 years in LA for 4 of those years. I also make music and I do stand-up comedy as well. You can look at my stuff at my Instagram. It's Jerimiyah Kyree. That's JerimiyahKyree.
Yay. And I will plug everyone at the bottom of the notes. And so let's get into it. First of all, thanks again, guys. I know I've said it a million times in emails, but I really am so excited. I've been dying to get like actors together in some way. And obviously, like last year, that just wasn't a thing. So this is kind of my first ever little actor gathering. So one day when I have an office, I'll invite you guys back. So let's start with the first question. What drew you to acting in the first place? Good, Kiana.
I started acting in middle school. I really was really shy actually before, and I'm definitely like a bottler of emotions. So I think when I took a theater class, I was like, wow, I can release my emotions here. Like I can be crazy and cry, or I could be funny. I can be anything I want to be. So I think that like got me out of my shell and just started giving me a healthy outlet for like all the emotion I was suppressing. So I was instantly hooked. So once I was like in sixth grade, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be an actress. So I've been working towards that goal since then. But yeah.
Hey. I know, I feel like it's definitely like a little getaway, right? I'm sure we can all agree with that. Anyone else want to share?
For me, it was a very specific movie. When I was 8 years old, I saw Cheaper by the Dozen, and I thought, this is the funnest shit you could ever do. And I watched there was like a cast commentary, and I used to watch that a lot. Like I got really into these kid actors who like got to do this whole thing, and that's when I started talking about it a lot. And my parents finally like put me in drama classes and that kind of a thing. But recently, a couple years ago, I did a kids film, which I don't like want to do kids films, but I did one, and it was like with a bunch of kids, and it was similar kind of to Cheaper by the Dozen. And I had this weird like, oh, like 8-year-old me wanted to do this, and now I'm on this set of this like goofy kids comedy. And anyway, it was very cute. But yeah, so Steve Martin did it for me.
Oh, I love that full circle.
I actually agree with Kemma. That's so funny that you say that. I grew up in New York and Atlanta split, but I remember when we were in elementary school, my brother and I, and have you guys ever watched, I think it's Pink Panther, when she's like the hamburger.
Yes.
Her son went to our school, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever that she was able to do that and work on set. And then everyone was laughing at her jokes. I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to be a part of that.
My story's a little different. My mom put me in a circus when I was in like middle school. So I started performing in a circus. I did that for like 4 years. And then I fell in love. I fell in love with like the entertaining aspect of it. And then I was in Florida. I moved from Florida to a different state. And obviously there wasn't like circuses. It was in Vermont. And I started doing like more musicals and things like that. And I was like, okay, this is like a whole different world. And it's like so much that you have to do. And it's so much responsibilities. And it's just so much fun at that point. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I started playing sports heavy. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to switch my life to sports. And then after I was going to go to college, I was like, went the first day. And I was like, I hate this. I'm going to go back to entertaining. So that's why we're here.
What was your act like in the circus?
I did a whole bunch of it. I was there for 4 years. So I did juggling, unicycle, roll bola, stilts, clowns, and globe.
It's crazy because if you guys follow him on Instagram, you're like, how the actually I can curse on here. How the fuck is one human so talented? Like he has like the most random skill set, but it's so cool. It's very cool.
I really appreciate you.
So yeah, thank you guys for sharing. For me, it was similar. I wanted to act. And actually, I've been having a playback of this memory. I did this one. So my sister was the real actress. She would model. She was signed with Ford. She had the whole thing. And I was like the shy, like did auditions, never got any jobs, like the disappointment kind of. So the competitiveness in me was like, oh, I got to make this happen. But also, I remember my first play when I was like 5, and I just like ran on stage and was like, hey, this person's coming, and like ran off stage, and that was it. But at the end, schools would come for like a field trip. And at the end, all the students that came, they would want the actors like signatures and stuff. And I remember looking at a bunch of like little students in their uniforms. I'm like, this is fun. Like, I like this attention. But that was like the first little like, oh, I like being an actress. All right. So now into the misconceptions. What are some misconceptions? So I want to talk about misconceptions that you hear from your friends, like from people that are outside of the industry that assume certain things about being a working actor or even what success looks like. So for an example for me is I mean I take it as a compliment whenever someone says it to me. But when someone's like, "Oh, like I can't wait till you're famous one day. Or I can't wait till you have all this fame." And I think the misconception for me is that this isn't based on fame for me. So while I accept it as a compliment, it's just like, or the other misconception would be that I make a ton of money or something if I work on like one project. Anyone else have any?
The money thing is a big thing because like when I first started doing this, just music videos. I was in so many music videos, still to this day. And everyone's like, "Oh, you're in all these music videos. You're in, like, I saw you in like 2.5 seconds in this TV show. You have to be loaded, like you're making it, bro." And I was like, "That's unfortunately not how this works." So everybody, like, if someone sees you on the television or like even on their phone, they're like, "Okay, he's making a lot of money," and now I got a whole bunch of aunts and uncles being like, "Hey, let me hold a little something," you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I don't got it like that.
Yeah, I feel that. Anyone else have any that come up?
For me, it's like kind of what you said, how success just looks so different. It's hard to explain. Kind of like acting. I mean, people say it's a 10-year journey before you've made it. You got that big role on the big thing.
Mhm.
And it's hard to show people like, yeah, I haven't done anything. I haven't been in Marvel yet, but I'm still making progress. Like when they maybe don't see it, I'm like, we have invisible progress where like you made it to producer sessions for a big role and you didn't get it, but the whole team loved you. Like that's still a success. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But you can't explain that to people very well or be like, well, Stranger Things almost cast me. They did it, but it was a huge win for me last year, and it's hard to get people on board with like, oh, well, now like casting directors are requesting me. So they know who I am. And to me, that's a huge sign of progress. But to other people, they're like, I haven't seen you in this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing indie films. Okay, just back off.
Yeah, I feel that. Like just getting in a room sometimes is the big accomplishment for us, but they're like,
100%.
uh, anyone else have any before I move on?
Yeah, like going back to like the fame thing, I feel like whenever I'm talking about like my career with others, like I don't care to be famous. Like I'm very happy and comfortable with my life and my career. Like fame isn't the goal and fame isn't the like marker of success for everyone. And like especially with like, social media right now, like I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be like attacked if I you know, say the wrong thing, like the wrong thing being like like oh, I don't like this shirt and like someone's mad at that. I don't know, like random things that like 13-year-olds attack you for, not like things like
Yeah.
racism or anything like that. Like I don't want to be attacked online by 13-year-olds. I want to be ignored by 13-year-olds.
Yeah, same.
Like
I just want to be chilling somewhere, have days off, be able to act when I can, have great roles, but also do what I want to do. That's all I want. I want a very quiet life. Like,
exactly.
did you have any you want to share?
Like I can do this career and not be famous and that's great. That's fine. Like
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like people think it's an A-B type process where
Mm,
it's like, oh, you're an actor, so you have to be in movies immediately. And it's like, I just got to LA, just getting an agent and a great team around you is one of the great steps, a part of it. And people just think it's like, oh, well, you're in LA, you say you're an actor, why aren't you, starring in hit movies yet? And it's like, it takes time. And I think a lot of you guys said that, but it just takes time. And I don't think people understand how much time it takes to really get your foot in the door a lot of the times and just make the great connections, and even just be training and working on your craft and taking classes and being coached and all of those things. A lot of people just don't get it. They're just calling from wherever we came from, like the Midwest,
Yeah.
South, and they're like, so where's, what movies have you been in already? I'm just like, I literally I just moved here. Like, can you give me 1 second? We were in a pandemic.
I agree completely. I know sometimes it keeps me from like even talking about it. Like I'll say like a few things, but I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I find that like I don't like talking about my career with strangers because then it's like 500 questions, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about this again. I don't want to have the same like conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. And then there's some pressure that comes with that. Like, like when someone's like, "Oh, you haven't been in this," or that," or "Who was that for?" And it wasn't for anyone they recognize, so then it's like not a big deal even if it was like a good job, you know? So
And
yeah.
Have
even
you
for
ever
like,
seen? You go ahead.
that's definitely you, Kemma.
Okay. Have you ever seen? There's a comedian, Chris Fleming, who he has this song about. He does like comedy songs. He has a song about when people ask him what his job is. He says he's an accountant because no one has follow-up questions if you're an accountant, and he just
Yeah.
has a whole little song about it. It's very funny, and I relate to it. And sometimes when people ask me what I'm doing, I'm just like, I coordinate. I'm a coordinator. I'm an event planner. I don't know. Like I just am like, I don't want to do it.
I
Yeah.
usually tell people I'm a full-time stripper.
Yeah, put them off your back.
Um, but what I was gonna say is like my family is like the biggest like. So I started off doing small things, and then every bigger thing I do, they expect the next thing to be like 10 times bigger than that. So like I'll do a co-star in a TV show, and then I'll do another co-star, and they're like, "I really wish you were in the TV show longer." And it's just like that's still like a big accomplishment for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like it's like
Yeah.
they're always just there.
Yeah, they're kind of on a different timeline sometimes. That's for sure. All right, so next question is what is managing? What does managing burnout look like for you? And and how you think burnout comes about, especially in this industry. Like I guess for me it's when I'm trying. I think for some reason every job or every audition lands on like the same week or the same day and it's like I had like 2 weeks of absolutely nothing. So for me that's like where a lot of the anxiety, the burnout comes from. But I'm curious to hear from you guys like what yeah, what burnout you deal with and how you deal with that.
I could speak on this because I just had a mental breakdown yesterday, but uh, back to the thing about random like auditions at random times. So like I'll start the week and I'll be like, okay, I have, this audition, then I have this fitting, then I have this casting. Like I have a full week ahead of me. Great. This is perfect. And then all of a sudden I get like, oh, hey babe, you need to do this casting before 9 a.m. tomorrow. And I'm like, girl, it's 6 p.m. How am I going to get this done? Like, and then like that'll startle me. And then I'll go to a client and they'll be like, have you lost weight? You're getting really skinny. You need to stop losing weight. You were perfect at the size earlier. Did you lose like 5 pounds, 10 pounds? It's like all these little things that led to like, at least for like this week for me, like just like a breakdown. I'm like, great, like, where is this coming from? I don't know why I'm upset. And then I think about it and I'm like, okay, well, like the person who kept telling me stop losing weight triggered me. And the fact that I have to get all this done and figure out how to get good lighting in my house at like 9 p.m. and like all these like little things. And so like now I'm having to reflect like, okay, how am I going to manage this burnout so I don't randomly start crying like on a Zoom call? So like I know at least for me, I need to get like 6 workouts in a week in order just to feel like mentally like okay.
Yeah.
So that's something like I have to remember to constantly prioritize is making sure that like my head is clear so like all these little things aren't affecting me.
Yeah. Whoa, that whole thing was so relatable, trying to find good lighting at 9 p.m. I literally just got an audition like yesterday afternoon for 8 p.m. yesterday, and they were like, "Be off book," and I was like, um, anyone else want to share how they deal with burnout?
Well, for me, I deal with it. I just like take some time for myself, but I can totally agree with you. Like the other day, I had my dog was sick and I had to take him to the vet, and I'm worried about him, and I have to be in this scene and be this like strong. I think it was like an African princess or something, and I'm like, I literally want to cry because I don't know what's wrong with my dog, but and it's like you have to get it done and all that stuff, and you have to really manage your emotions in another way. I feel like actors, we're like master manipulators of our emotions, which I actually love about us, but sometimes being having that superpower can become a lot, and that's when I just take a step back, and do something for me. So whether it's getting my nails done or having a glass of wine after I do my audition, whatever it is, I just do something for me because it going back to like when family calls you and all that stuff, even though we do this for us, it kind sometimes it can weigh on you and be like, well, I want to do good so that my family is proud of me because they know that I moved here to do my dream. And a lot of the times you realize that they are living through you. So I just take a step back and do something just for myself when I get start to get burnt out. And now I feel like I'm at the point where I can feel it. I'll get off social media, I will turn off my phone, I'll read a book, just for Mycah, the person, not the actor, not the businesswoman, not the wife, just Mycah, the human being.
Yeah, I feel like that's also, I mean, all of this is related. We're all actors, but I feel like as an actor, sometimes some of the stress. I mean, I think I didn't realize this until I had a breakdown on a set, actually. Anyways, so but I realized like you just kind of feel like a pet sometimes, and that kind of adds up, like. And I'm sure you probably feel a lot of that too, Kiana, with modeling and like the pressures of staying a certain weight or whatever that is. But yeah, that causes some burnout and some stress within me too, feeling like I'm just a robot for everyone else. What about you, Kemma, or Jerimiyah? Any burnout tips, suggestions?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I don't necessarily deal with burnout in a traditional sense. I'm pretty energizer bunny, and it's very rare that I'm at the end of my rope as far as the work I can do, but I do like with anyone struggle with just the mass amounts of rejection.
Mm,
So for me, I try to take the pressure off, just like I like to have a lot of irons in the fire. So I write movies and I produce and I do some stand up and I teach acting and I do different things so that all the like pressure of success isn't just on acting. And when that part of my career is feeling more halted, I at least have control over how I write or control over like my TikTok content or whatever it is, just like having more around me. I write music and it's bad and nobody ever hears it, but I like to do that, and just like having different outlets, so it's not like, I almost think like the more expectation and pressure you put on your acting career, the less things are going to come. It's like you're like forcing a dog to come and it's not going to, but if you walk away it'll follow you maybe.
Mhm.
So that's kind of my thing, is just trying to, when I get really in my head about acting and how it's not going exactly how I want it to be like, okay, well, we can do this and we can do this and we can step away, and like writing music, as I said, I do that one literally just for myself and it's just fun for me, and I'm not trying to produce a great song. I'm just writing bad Taylor Swift songs essentially. But that helps me, and it's like, this is creativity for fun, not creativity for progress.
yeah, I think that's really important as artists, as creatives, like just to make sure that you continue like lighting that creative spark just for yourself, just for fun, just um yeah, that's part of the reason why I've been hanging up any of my art. Like even if it's like, even if it's something like but it's like anything I can create and just do, even if it has no real structure to it or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to honor that.
I was gonna say the literally exact same thing as Kemma. When I first got here, I was like just thinking, I was just waiting. Like if I didn't do anything acting during the day, I thought my day was wasted. But then I switched my focus, and like this is gonna sound bad, but I don't. My main focus isn't acting. My main focus is bettering myself. And I just when I changed that, like my whole life changed 100%. So I work out a lot. I write music a lot. I write scripts. I go on random hikes just for me. Like I don't focus on acting. Like I still study with myself, and I still like obviously do auditions and stuff like that. But that doesn't make my day, if that makes sense. My day is built up with a whole bunch of other things, and if those come in, then amazing. Let's further my career. But once I made that switch, I don't really have like burnouts because I'm constantly doing stuff. I constantly give stuff for myself to do, and it makes my life a little. I guess it's more simple, but not simple at the same time.
Nice. I want to talk about rejection. I don't think I put it on the outline, but how do you guys feel about rejection? I feel like after an audition, I'll just be like, I really want that. And then after that, I just don't really think about it. And then I just never have thought about it as rejection unless I did something terrible in the room where I was like, okay, they have to reject me, you know? So like, how do you guys deal with rejection, and how has dealing with the rejection as an actor translated into your everyday life experiences?
I know this might like sound like crazy, but for me, like I don't have rejection in my vocabulary. I just think what I had so many experiences in life where I thought I wanted something so bad, and then the door closes, and then when I look back, hindsight is always 2020. It's like I'm so happy I didn't get that, or I'm so happy that guy didn't work out because I would have moved across the country or something, and now I have my husband. I love him so much. You know what I mean? Like so, like I don't really like use the term rejection because I really believe that whatever is for me, that's how I like to choose to lead my life. Whatever is for me is supposed to be for me. So if it didn't work out, I try to see maybe I could have done something better. Like maybe it was a lesson that I was supposed to learn. Like that didn't work out because you should have went to coaching or something like that, and you knew you were supposed to go to coaching because you don't know that accent. So I was like, okay, well, I learned the lesson. That's kind of how I see it. I don't really like let it inside of my heart. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that too. I don't let it in. Anyone else have anything to say on rejection?
I don't focus on it like at all. Like obviously there's some roles I'm like, this would literally change my life and this would be amazing and I really want to do this. But after like the first week I don't dwell on it. I'm like, all right, what's on to the next? The cool thing about those rejections though, they do bring opportunities. So like a lot of the time I'll get like a call back and then a second call back and then everyone's like beaming. They're like, Jerimiyah, we love you. The producer's like, oh, I'm really feeling you right now. We just have to push it to the next thing. And then I don't get it. And usually people will be like, I did all that work. But really, your face is now going to be in these people's minds. And now you're going to give more opportunities coming your way from that. So it's not really a bad thing that you're getting rejected. They just had a different thing in their mind, you know? So like if you write something and you're like, okay, I want this guy to sound like this and look like this, it's going to take a lot for someone to change your mind. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm not always gonna be what they have envisioned. And I understand that. So just keep it pushing.
Yeah, yeah.
Normally, I'm pretty chill. Like, I mean, the auditions come in so rapidly. Like, I can't really dwell. Like, I'm normally like, oh, I really want this, but then the next day there's a different audition, and you let it pass and you do whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But particularly 2 weeks ago, I think I had one like double whammy bad day. I booked a guest star on a Apple TV show that I was stoked about, and the casting directors told me that they wrote the character out before I got to shoot it. So I was like bummed because like you finally get the booking, and I was like, this took a lot, and it was with like a couple of just huge names. I was just over the moon about it, and so that was really disappointing. And I just had a second callback for the lead in a really big video game franchise. which video game work is very interesting, but you work a lot. Like, you work like 40 days. Those are like money jobs. And I was like, okay, great. And they were looking for things very specific that I can do. And they ended up emailing my agent with a really, really nice note about, like, we loved Kemma's energy. She was so great. We passed it to someone else, but we'd really want her to keep auditioning. And my agent was thrilled. She was like, no one ever sends a note. Like, that's so nice. You should be so encouraged. And I was like, I'm about to flip the table. Like, I'm like, I don't want your note. I just want you to let me be in the damn game. And it was like the same. It was like a couple hours after the Apple TV thing. And I was just like, it was just one day where I was like, this is stupid. This whole business is stupid. But we've chilled out since then. But I think that was the first time in a while that Rejection, it was just like two things that both would have been really big, like, canceled on the same day. And I was like, sick. And like, again, it is really positive. They did really like me. And I do kind of think something will line up with them eventually. And same, I hope that with Apple, like, maybe that casting director or that team will remember me and will hopefully throw me a bone somewhere else. But I'm hoping they feel really guilty about what they did. But yeah, so I don't know. I know it's good, but every once in a while you have those days where you're like, why do I do this?
Where it just hurts just a little, like, right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's understandable. That's really understandable. I think the part where you said that auditions just roll in, I think that's another thing that is a misconception, right? That there's like one audition. There's like 100 auditions before the one. Like, so I think with that, I think actors just handle rejection in a way that's like, well, it's things have to keep going. The show literally must go on. Like, so yeah. Let's move on. Ooh, what are your worst or funny audition stories? If you guys have any.
I
Go ahead,
got one.
Kiana, take it away.
Okay, so I can't remember what the audition was for, but I remember I came into the room and they were like, "We just want you guys to do some like really cool skills. What do you got?" And I wasn't prepped for this. I remember specifically being like, why didn't my agent tell me like I had to like show up ready to do something? Like, okay, so I was like, you know what? I can do a death drop and like do like a back bends. That's fun. So I did the death drop, and as I was doing the back bends, like I wasn't wearing a bra, so my whole boob came out.
Oh my god.
And I was like, did I book? So yeah, that was pretty mortifying, but I just had to brush it off and being like, you know, it's a good nipple. It's, you know, it's not too offensive.
I'm crying. That's so funny. What did they say? What did they do? Were they just like,
No one said anything.
oh, that's amazing. That's like, see, after things like that happen, I mean, I haven't had a tit come out, but I'm sure one day it might happen. But I feel like after something like that happens in my head, it's like, yeah, I have that freaking story now. Like, I've always wanted that crazy ass audition story. That's so funny. Anyone else?
I can't follow that. I don't know. Nothing was what could be as crazy. Mine was like, my first agent, I think here, my first agent here, they were having basically like auditions where you have to walk in and improv something about a sock. And I just made like a terrible joke. I think I started rapping. It was so embarrassing. But that I cannot follow you.
One of my old agents sent me to this audition. He's like, "It's just a modeling audition." I was like, "Cool." I get in there, and it's like for an underwear company, and I'm like, "Okay, cool." And they're like, "Okay, so we're just gonna get in your underwear," and I was like, "We're gonna do what?" And they're like, "Yeah, just get in your underwear," and I'm like, "Okay." So I got in my underwear, and I'm just sitting there like, "Okay, now we're gonna do some contemporary dancing." I'm not a dancer, so like I'm just going around in my underwear, just doing some weird stuff, and I walked out of that room. I was like, "What did I just do? Why did I do this right now? Like, this is the weirdest thing in the whole entire world." But that's other than that, I did like for a commercial. They wanted soccer players, and they gave me a soccer ball, and I ended up kicking it. I tried to do like a trick, and I kicked the ceiling. Like the ceiling fell down on the floor, and I was like, "Oh!" But I got a call back, which is really weird. Didn't book it though.
I think that's the funny thing is sometimes in auditions, I know for me, I like tap out. It's like you ask for something, I tap out and just do whatever. So like I had an audition kind of like Mycah's where they were like, okay, just improvise. They had all these props and it was kind of for like a kid show kind of thing. And I had to pretend there was like someone screaming on the other side of the door. And I think I gave them like my back. This isn't even a good story, but I gave them like my back. I was throwing a bunch of shit. They asked me to sing. I can't sing. And so the whole thing was just so embarrassing for me at the time. But after it's like I literally blacked out. I was just like, I'm gonna do whatever. Like I'll grab whatever prop I have to and figure out whatever comes to my mind. Kemma, what about you? Do you have any stories?
Yeah, I feel like they're all a little mediocre. But one time I was called in for this like some sort of sketch comedy show, and they're looking for stand-up comedians. And I used to do a lot of stand-up, so I was like, great. So I go in, and it's like just a small little room, a tiny camera, looks like a GoPro, and like one like 18-year-old sitting in the corner running the cam. And he was like, great, just do like a 2-minute set to camera of stand-up. And I was like, cool. So like there's very little you can do with 2 minutes in stand up. Like that's just a joke setup. You know what I mean? Plus like to not be I don't know. It was just like a weird thing. So I was like, great, I'll just like pretty much do my like intro one-liner kind of things and then call it. But like the kid's on his phone, no one's laughing. You're trying to like connect with like a GoPro. And it was just like the most awkward, like just like be funny. And you're like, oh, well, one time, like, it was just very, uncomfortable across the board, and I did not get anything from that, but I was like, I wonder if they watched that tape, like, did it land? Like, when you have no audience laughing and you're kind of improvising, I'm like, did that land, or was that should I see if I can get that deleted from the world?
Yeah. I know that's the scary part is thinking about all the footage of you that is out there that
Yeah.
like it's like where is it?
Yeah, anytime, like I mean, it's usually when an actor's very successful when they're like, "Watch this person's tape for this show," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"No, you guys can't have those. Like, those you're obligated to delete them."
I know it's terrifying. Um all right, so now we're going to go into some audience questions. And this first one I'm not really sure about, but how do you guys deal with poor directing? I feel low key as an actor, it's like any other job, it's like how do you deal with a bad boss? You just like get your job done kind of, you know? Like but I haven't dealt with any poor directors. I feel like I've had directors call me weird things like a demon and stuff, but like other than that, I never had weird anything crazy.
I'm kind of annoying. Um, just because
You ask a lot of
if I see something, I'm not gonna keep my mouth shut at all. And if you're, I don't know, and I'm not saying like, oh, if the director has a bad, like a different vision to me, that I don't like. Obviously, I'll go along with it. But if the director's like 100% missing a big thing just because one they're not really paying attention or something like that, then I'll be like, hey, did you think about this, or how about trying this? Or one time I was on set and the director was behind the camera and he was talking during the scene, and I was like, what are you doing? Because you can hear it in the
audio.
audio. And he started like laughing every time we made a joke, and I was like, you can't laugh because like we can still hear you on the mics. Like it's not a so when we were editing everything, the person that was editing it was sending me over things. They're like, yo, what did this direct like? Because you can hear him in almost every take. We had to do ADR for a whole bunch of things, and it's just like things like that. You have to speak up and be like, hey, like I understand you're doing your job, but like, mm, let's help. Let's do this together because it is a collaboration. So I'm definitely not the type of person to just sit shut and I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree with like collaborating and like I'll offer suggestions and ideas all the time, but I don't know. Anyone else have anything to say on poor directors?
Think that like I guess more like when I'm like modeling and on set, there will be times where let's say I'm being directed to do something like I don't know, whatever it is at the time. And sometimes I'll be like, why the heck am I doing this? Like this is like not my angle. I cannot do that. but I just try and breathe and tell myself, you know what, fucking sell it because you are here. I don't know if I can curse,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just try and breathe and tell myself, you know what, you are here, you were booked for this job, you're making money, so sell it. And, you know, it usually works out. Like, I think it's always worked out, but yeah, like I definitely sometimes have to like breathe and recenter myself if I feel like my nerves getting on me because of like I don't understand what they're trying to ask me. They're not asking like in great ways. Like I don't think they even know what they want. So it's yeah.
Yeah, I feel like poor directing and modeling. Well, maybe it's just because I don't really enjoy modeling, but I feel like poor directing. If I book a modeling job and there's poor directing, I just can't do it because I just don't know what to do on my own. So in that way, that affects me.
I love directors though. I love the like because they have a vision in their head and they have to try to express that vision out loud. And I love that part of it. And sometimes it is hard to say that. So I also like the kind of just challenge of trying to fit exactly what they're trying to do in real life. It is really fun.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what makes it collaborative. Is like while you're on set with the director, you guys are kind of figuring out how to, obviously he has it in his mind and you have it in your mind in a different way, and then those kind of like come together and then create like this end product. And then editing has their own vision and comes in and it's like ends up being something, you know? So I think that's just like the freaking magical part about the whole process. All right. So anyone else have anything to say on poor directing? Kemma?
Yeah, I was just gonna chime in and say, like, for me, I mean, I try to be respectful of the positions because I've directed, I've produced, I've done a lot of different things, and then sometimes it's not fun when people are like overstepping, like when I'm directing and an actor's like, let's like, I think the whole thing should be like this, and I'm like, okay, well, I actually have a specific vision, but thank you so much. Not as much like if a director doesn't have a vision, that's more like when it's an issue, I suppose. But I try to like reason within their own world of like, okay, well, the way I've developed this character, I don't see how that like I think she would be more led to react this way, or like, great, do you mind if we do like, can we try both ways and you check them back, or like I'll do the whole thing and then be like, can we just go for one alternate really quick, and then it's kind of in the editor's hands if they can like see, oh, she did something great on the last take, you know. But I try to at least like push for another version, or like explain it within like what is the realm of the actor, as like, okay, like, well, all my prep work for this character, she's very like this, so when you're asking me to do this, it doesn't make sense like based off what we did in the last scene or whatever, trying to like get it, or if I can get it to be their idea what I want to do, you know what I'm like, well, how would you say that she should do this given these all of these restrictions? And they're like, you know what, we should do that other thing. And I'm like, great, let's do it.
Yeah, I feel like part of that sometimes, like, no offense, Jeremiah, sometimes that's just part of being a woman. You just have to like twist things to make it other people sometimes. All right, Mycah, did you have anything to add before I move on?
No, not really. I'm not. Thankfully, I've worked with some really great and amazing directors. Even like when I first started like student projects. Maybe, but I honestly, I just, pass it off as everyone's just learning at that point. But now that I've been doing this for a while, I've thankfully been with some really great directors.
Yeah, I feel like I've been pretty lucky too, just working in actors too, like just working with good people. Like I feel like sometimes there's like kind of a bad rep of how things could go in this industry, which obviously those things are true too. It just hasn't been in my experience, which thank God. Like, how do you guys deal with, I mean, burnout is kind of similar, but how do you deal with anxiety, especially when you're going into an audition room, or even just your first day on set or something, or a scene where it's a big scene or something? How do you guys deal with that?
The only thing I can say to that is just 100% trust myself, just because every single time, it doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing, my heart goes 10,000 miles an hour. And then you're always feeling that kind of way. But every time I just let myself go and just like trust myself, because I've done the work. It's just like riding a bike. You're not scared of riding a bike. You might be scared of going over a jump, but you know you can do it. So just letting myself be myself in that moment, and just full send if we're going to use today's terms.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I'll say to that.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm sorry, Kiana, go ahead.
I
No,
totally agree with you, Jerimiyah, but like, so I have a story, I guess. So I was on set for a commercial and I was supposed to go at like, let's say like 11 a.m. And so I was there and the clock just kept passing and they were filming other people. And I had all these crazy thoughts in my head, like, they're about to cut me, like they're about to tell me just to go home, like what's going, like I was starting to panic, and I'm like, okay, well, once I do get on there, I'm gonna have so much anxiety that I'm not gonna perform right. And like I was just like sitting in the green room and I'm like, you know what, you were booked for this job, you are here, you need to learn how to trust yourself. And like once I got on set, it went amazing, and they said, you know what, you were so good, we are definitely gonna like pay you double. So I got double the pay just for sitting on set all day, like with all this catered food. I'm like, you know what, today wasn't so bad. And that's why you have to learn how to trust yourself, because like great things can happen if you're not like ready to like be like so harsh on yourself and like beat yourself down, because we are professionals and we were hired, like we do have the talent.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just reminding yourself like you were booked for this. Like you've worked for this, you know?
Mhm.
I
Um,
try to make it like a game, honestly. Like, I try not to take acting too seriously. I operate much more in the comedy world than the drama world. So a lot of what I'm doing is like funny or outlandish anyway. So I kind of have to put in my mind for like auditions. Like, I remember for one audition, they were asking me to sing something from Tangled, and I was nervous, but I was like, okay, literally, you're a bunch of executives and you have to sit down and listen to me sing Tangled, and that's all of our jobs right now. And that's hilarious. Or like, yeah, or if if I'm reading for some show and it's exciting, like it's just like, okay, great. Well, I'm gonna play pretend and you've asked me to do this, and everything about it is just like just trying to make it like a funny world that we're in. I do a lot of voiceover animation work. I had a big meeting at Nickelodeon with like everyone in casting at Nickelodeon Animation, and I was feeling very like it was like me and like 20 people on a Zoom call, like just like a lot, me doing all these voices for them. I felt so nervous, but I'm like, I'm literally like voicing like a Scottish snowflake on a Zoom with like 20 executives. Let's just let this be funny and weird and not like make it or break it to my career. I'm like, okay, and here's me doing a dolphin sound. Do you want to pay me money for that? Okay, and here's me doing, and it's just like a weird world. So I try to make it fun and like, haha, you have to listen to me make dolphin sounds on a Zoom. That's your job, and you'll pay me to do it.
I know sometimes you guys just ever stop and think like, what the fuck are we all doing here? Like it's so funny, but that's really why I like being an actor. Like when I get to think I could just do anything. Like, when you're little and someone asks you what you want to be, for the longest when I was little, I always like compared myself to like, this sounds stupid, but like Barbie, because she had all these different jobs. And I was like, I want to be doing all these different jobs too. But in reality, it's like, I don't want to go to school for all these different jobs. Like, I just want to change my outfit and like my voice maybe and my expression and embody that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Barbie is the perfect like analogy. Like that's exactly what I think in my head. Like I loved Barbies as a kid, but like I also feel like I am Barbie. And then I booked a job where I was doing like Barbie license stuff, and I got to like pose like a doll, and I'm like, this is the dream come true. I'm Barbie now. Like I'm a
Full
Latina
circle.
Barbie. Like guys, like I made it.
Oh, I love that. Micah, how do you deal with anxiety?
Um, so I get so nervous. I always get so nervous, but I understand now, like now doing it for a while, I understand that it's because I want to do a good job. And a lot of the times it's like a psychological hack. Like you get nervous. When I start to break it down, I'm like, I'm nervous because I want to do a good job. And ultimately, because when you go into that room, they have your fate in their hands, basically. You want them to think that you did a good job as well. And when it comes down to it, all I can control is myself. and how prepared I am and how much I put into it. And then once I start literally like taking a step back to just think about all of those things, I'm like, all I can do is just be me and be the best me I can be when I walk into this room. And that's really it. I feel I have this phrase where I say like I'm connected to everything but attached to nothing, which means like I'm not attached to the outcome of what this is going to be. Ultimately, we're all on a journey, and wherever this leads me, I just trust that it's going to lead me to the place where I'm supposed to be. So then once I break all that down, I'm like, I'm just going to go in there and do what I need to do.
Yeah, I love that. That's powerful. I agree. I feel like what I do, I haven't really done this on stage. On stage, I'm a freaking mess. I'm so nervous for the first like 5 minutes. But in the audition room, I feel like that first 2 minutes, for a long time, I was so anxious that I couldn't really hear like what they were saying. So now I just like really focus on my breathing for those first few like minutes in the room, and then I can like listen to what they're saying. But I used to be so in my head about everything that I'd like miss the direction, but be like, oh yeah, okay, like what was that again? Like, it would be like I would be way too in my head. Oh yeah, how do you guys prepare for a role? Any memorization tips? What's funny is so many of the audience questions was about memorization, which I think like it sounds like it would be the hardest part, but it becomes like one of the just like easiest parts of the process, I feel like.
Yeah, I always get that on my actor TikTok. People are always asking about memorization. And for me, it's always just been a side effect of studying the script. Like when I'm breaking down the character and doing all the scene work, 90% of it gets memorized in that process. And then it's just like, a few phrases here or there that I need to nail down. But that's never been like the main thing to me. But I think when you're young, like when you're a kid or when you're starting out, like it's always like, but how do you memorize the lines? And you're like, don't worry about it. We shoot it one page at a time.
Right.
I would say, I feel like I don't remember other things though. Like I can remember a script. You tell me to memorize something, you want it in a few hours, I can do that. But like little things, I don't focus on memorizing other things.
Weird that way. Like every single song that I've ever written, I have it memorized. Like I can just recite it, and things like that. But when I'm looking at a script, I don't read it as a script at first. I read it as a story, because for my brain, it's like easier to memorize what's going on if I actually just like know what's going on. Like she did this, now she's doing this. Why did she say this? And that also just gives me the opportunity to play with it a little more instead of trying to be word for word. Just understand the character, break it down, and then this is going on. This person said this. Why would I say the next thing that I say? So that's kind of how I just play with it a little bit.
Yeah, definitely creating a story that I can like picture in my head helps me.
Mm-hmm.
Mycah, Kiana.
I think a lot of the times I think it has to do for me with like the writing. When I'm reading, and if the writing's really good and it makes sense to you how the story is progressing, it kind of becomes like what Kemma was saying. It's like it's a second nature thing. It's not really the main thing to try to memorize the words. When the script makes sense and you know how the story goes, like even when we get off the Zoom call, we can, even though we won't remember every question you ask, we kind of remember how it progressed.
Yeah.
I try to remember how the story is progressing. And then I go back after maybe the second or third time reading it and understanding the story. Then I go back and memorize the words.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too. It all has to start with like understanding the storyline in my head and like understanding the world, and then like memorization just comes so easy.
Yeah. All right. Done. But how do you deal with problems on set or dealing with people for long, extended amounts of time? What was the longest day on set for you guys that you've had so far? Like 10 hours? Longer?
Long.
I was on a commercial for 19 hours.
That's a long.
Yeah.
Mine was like 15.
That's long.
And it's like hurry up and wait. You're really not even doing anything.
You're literally sitting the whole day. And that's another misconception. It's like
Yeah.
half the day you're eating free food and you're sitting your ass down doing nothing.
That's it. Literally. You're just waiting the whole time, like in your trailer or wherever they have holding, you're just getting your hair and makeup done. And then you're waiting for like maybe 4 hours for them to shoot whoever they need to shoot out so you can come on set.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, I haven't really had like problems on set. Like people get flustered because they're dealing with 10,000 other things and they'll come at you a certain way, but it's not really like a problem. You just have to understand that they're blowing up in their head and they're trying to keep it cool, but they're really not doing as good as a job as they should have. So you just kind of have to work around that a lot. You have to work around a lot of people not knowing how to manage their emotions. But other than that, like I haven't had any problems.
I agree with that. I think because actors are constantly like meeting so many people and working around so many different people, you kind of like read the room. There's some actors that'll sit off to the side and like be quiet, and there's some that'll like be chatty and they kind of like there's like I don't know, groups. It's like work, like school.
Yeah, I've never had any like major problems on set, but if there's any like thing that's inappropriate or boundary crossing, I'm not afraid to call SAG. When I joined, they gave you like a hotline card that is in my wallet. I know who to call if they try to get me to take off my clothes or do anything not approved. I'm like, I will use this.
That's your superpower. Mm-hmm. All right, Kiana, did you have anything to say on the problems question?
I don't think so. Like, I think the only time I've ever had problems was like community college shows I worked on, like where people are just really immature and not like just like acting like 20-year-olds. But I don't like I have dealt with like I guess more in the modeling world, like kind of like jerk photographers or like especially when like there will be like a straight size model and me there as the plus size model. I have had issues where like photographers will make little comments at me and being like, oh, well, you're not really a real model or something. This was years ago though, like when I started my career, when plus size modeling wasn't as big as it is now. Though I know some girls do deal with that, but like there have been times where people are just like really inappropriate. And I feel like I should have said something then, but I was like young and I was just trying to like, you know, get the work done, get my money and leave. But like people have like can be pretty rude.
Yeah. I'm sorry you dealt with that. I feel like that's the difficult part sometimes is like being in a space where you feel like, well, I can't really say something because I'm booked here for like however long. I might get in trouble with my agent if I say something and then lose them, which I could lose other jobs. Like it's this whole thing. Any last tips for actors breaking into the industry or thinking about moving to LA?
Moving to LA.
What'd you say?
You can go.
Okay. I think my biggest tip is just to listen to like working actors and models tips, because everyone's always asking me for tips and I give them tips and then they are like, do the opposite and like not in a good way. Like, like I will be like, okay, all you have to do if you want to be a model, because people ask me that a lot, is you just submit your digitals to agencies. It's so easy. You don't need to spend money. You don't need to like, you know, do all these test shoots and spend $2,000. You can literally just get some snapshots and get an agent. But people don't listen to the tips. They go and they like buy these test shoots and all this crazy stuff. And it's like, you don't need to be investing that money. Just listen to the advice that's there and like, don't overthink it. Like, don't make acting and modeling into something it's not. Like, I don't know if that's helpful, but
yeah, no, that is helpful.
I relate to that. I feel like I'm giving actors so much advice and then they're like, yeah, so I did the opposite of what you said and it's so weird. It's going bad. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a shocker. But I would say my advice is the bare minimum will never be enough in this career. It is so oversaturated and you will watch your peers just do like, I got an agent and I submit to auditions. And I'm like, okay, great. What events are you doing? What casting directors are you building relationships with? Like, what you know what I'm saying? There's so much extra work that you should be doing. Like I have friends who graduated college, got an acting degree, and then stopped taking classes. And I'm like, you didn't learn everything there is to know about acting in those 4 years. I'd learned the same thing as you and we didn't. And just like, you know, people think that they can just do just like what you could probably get by with in any other career field. But I'm like, it is competitive, it is saturated. Like, if you're not willing to, I mean, not at the expense of your peace and your sanity, but like, you have to do more than what is just baseline asked of you. Because, or else, I mean, you could, but it's going to take you another extra 10 years on top of the 10 years to succeed that way, and also having your expectations of people move to LA, they think it's going to happen in 3 to 5 years and they leave. And it's like, if you can't stick it out for more than 5 years without the big success, don't move at all. Because chances are it won't happen. Some people it will, but like chances are it's not going to happen in that timeline. So you have to know for yourself, like, can I commit? I don't know. Honestly, I say 10 years. Can you commit to 10 years of just doing it because you love it and dealing with everything? And if you can't, then pivot somehow.
It's kind of interesting. I feel like some people will work in other jobs for years and years and years, but people don't want to do that in this job sometimes. Interesting. Anyway.
The one thing I would say is you need people. A lot of people are like, I can do it by myself. There's absolutely no way in hell you can do anything in acting without other people. You need to make relationships. You need to build relationships with not only casting directors, but other actors and directors. And just, it has to be a whole community that you're a part of. Like Michael B. Jordan, he has the same Ryan Coogler. They've been making movie. That's relationship that was built. Even like Seth Rogen and his whole little crew, they've been doing that since they first met. You know what I'm saying? That's a relationship that they built. You need a group, you need a team, you need a family, if you want to call it that, in order to get anywhere. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, oh, but I can just go out and I can do this by myself. And you can't do it by yourself. You need people. That's the biggest thing that I can say.
Yeah, on like every level, you need people just to like stay sane, to check each other and make sure you guys are doing well out here. Like all of that, you need somebody. Yeah. All right, guys.
Can I just add one thing? I would say acting, and it's a business. So you have to run yourself as such. You are the product, and you have to run it as a business. Like I did this mentorship program for actors, and one of the things he did was tell me like to list every person you ever met in LA or that's an actor anywhere you've met. List them, reach out to them, and make sure you're checking in on them. Don't be the person that you see them doing something and you're like hitting them up. Oh, that's so cool. No, don't be that person. Network around you. Don't always try to network up. It's the people around you that like Jerimiyah said, it can be your family and can help build and grow you in this business. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, and be the friend that's supporting the other actors and the other like people, and that's what makes it like homey kind of like, it just makes it like when I see any of you guys like posting on Instagram or anywhere like TikTok or something, I'm like so hyped for you guys. And that's part of the reason why I invited you guys. Like, you guys inspire me, and like in return, I hope that like I can open up spaces and inspire you guys as well. And then that makes this, I don't know, more fun. Last few questions. What are your favorite resources for acting, whether it be books or podcast, or your favorite movies? Sometimes I feel like judged when I say my favorite movies, though, so I don't talk to actors about my favorite movies.
I'm a big fan of books and just actor education in general. I'm very against the I'm naturally good at this and don't need to learn about it mindset. I'm like, okay, best of luck staying where you're at. So a couple books I really like. Cathy Reinking, who was the casting director for Frasier, I believe. She has a book called How to Book Jobs in TV and Film, and she updates it like every 3 to 5 years so it stays current, which I find really helpful for a casting book. Like the most recent one I think came out 2 years ago, so it's still very relevant. And hers is just like the business side, from like starting acting to booking to representation to everything, which I just think it's a great blueprint for new actors. And then an old school acting book, Audition by Shurtleff, is about auditioning. It's like written in like, I don't know, the 70s or 80s for theater, but it's just like got all the main like breakdowns for a script and how to make an audition genuine and impactful and interesting. And I just always tell people that's where you go to learn how to break down your audition scripts.
Nice. Thank you. Anyone else have any to add?
I would just say what I do a lot, what I love to do. I write scripts, but obviously those are things that I've created in my head so I can act it out easy. Just going online and just finding a whole bunch of scripts and then just acting it out to your best capability, and then maybe go around and see if other people have done the same script that you just did, and then like why did they do this, and just like kind of teach yourself as well as going to other people and teaching and stuff like that. What I did before COVID happened, I had like a little workout scene study kind of like group of friends. So we would literally just get some scripts and then we would perform it in front of the other people. And then we won't say, hey, you did this wrong. We just say, hey, try it this way. Or like, what if you're just mad the whole time? And it's just like practicing those little things in your brain. And then afterwards work out, which was amazing. And I want to start that soon once we open up again. So if any of you guys are available and interested, I'm gonna reach out. But just things like that, just constantly just challenging your brain. Also, headshots are a big thing. There's this guy named Jeremy David. That's where I go to. He's amazing. His Instagram is Jeremy David Creative. He changed my whole entire life.
I got mine from him too, because of you. I have to
yeah,
though, but yeah, he's cool.
He's just like a sweet dude. Like he just makes the whole thing
it's a good
great. But yeah.
I love how actors are so like gung ho with their headshot photographers.
I know you
I feel like people are in like Hogwarts houses about them, and they're like, "I'm David Muller and I'm Stephanie Gerrard." Like people like really connect with them. I love it.
You kind of have to. You see them; they're like a doctor. You see them every few years, or every year, every few years.
No, I kept going to different agents. So like, you need new headshots. You need new headshots. Like every single time I got a new agent, and I was like, I don't need new headshots. Like what? But I went to him, and I promise you, I just started booking everything, and I was like, oh, this is a different life. Like, oh no, it's a different world.
When it works, it works.
Mm-hmm.
Mycah, Kiana, do you guys have any tips or resources that you like for acting?
I like watching. I like to like study actors and like where they came from and their story, and how they manage the world and their escape when they first came here, and how they're kind of how everything happened for them and where they're. So I like the actors on actors.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I love
those.
Yeah, and then there's the Roundtable one.
Mm-hmm.
The Roundtable, and then actors on actors. I love to watch that and just be basically like a student of the game, because they drop so many gems. A lot of the times I don't even think they realize it, but they're like saying exactly how it worked for them, how they managed their career, the opportunities they were looking for, and just listening to them and their stories. A lot of the times where the actors, where if it's a point where it's where I want to be, and how they got their first roles and all that stuff, I love listening to that.
Yeah.
SAG-AFTRA has a YouTube channel, and they like talk to casting directors and actors. And one time they brought on a brain surgeon, a therapist, and a guy who competes in memorization, and it is all talked about how the different ways you can memorize, things like that. So like those videos are amazing as well.
Sounds really
Yeah, if you're in the union, really look into the resources, because SAG tries very hard to put out so many free if you're in the union resources. Yeah. They have casting access where like once a month you can do a free workshop with the casting director. You can film your self-tapes at SAG once things open back up. You can film your voiceover auditions. Like they have all this stuff that's available that actors just aren't aware about. So if you're in the union, go on the website because they've got stuff.
Yeah. Kiana, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think for me, what helped, like resources that help me stay inspired are just also other forms of like art, I think. So whether it's like watching movies or just like listening to music, like the more I connect with myself, I think I just improve myself so much more as like an actor and a model. So lately, like, I've been just putting on like music and just like moving my body and just trying new ways of movement and like, and honestly, that has like helped me so much. I've been doing that a lot this past year, like, especially with like lockdown and everything.
Yeah.
Just finding new ways to explore my body and myself, like, as far as movement goes and angles. And it feels like so liberating in some sense. And I feel like so much more myself. And like, I see the difference in my work. Like now, like when I compare my shoots to like when I first started it, I'm like, wow, I was so stiff before. And now like I'm trying new things and just like getting really cool results.
Yeah, you know what? I can totally see from your like most recent shots, like, yeah, I can totally see that you've been investing in some movement and trying new things out. Cause those, I mean, all of your shots are always beautiful, but I think those most recent ones, you just seemed really comfortable. I'm like, I literally want them framed on one of my walls. Like, they're so pretty.
The prints, like
mail them to me, honey. They'll be up. All right, guys, thank you so much for doing this with me. You can go ahead and plug yourselves one last time. Just share where our listeners can find you at.
All right, you already know what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy. I'm sorry.
I was gonna go with it.
Honestly, music. I have a new song out right now. It's called I Got It. It's on all platforms. You can go on YouTube. There's a music video for it. That's my favorite music video in the whole entire world. My music name is The Kyree. It's the TheKyree. You can find it anywhere. And then my actual Instagram is going to be Jerimiyah Kyree. That's JerimiyahKyree. And thank you guys.
Yes.
You can find me on Instagram at MyCAH, Mycah Christine, ChristIne. You can follow my business at May Williams Active, MAYE Williams Active, and online at maywilliamsactive.com.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at KIANATORI.
You can find me on all platforms at Kemma Filby, KEMMAFILBY, and you can follow my production company at C6 Studios.
Yay! Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for organizing this, Kayla. It was really nice to meet everyone.
Nice meeting you guys.
I wish I could say the same, but yeah, I'm joking.
Yeah, it was all right.